All right. Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear, Captain.
Okay. Which means we'll be coming through the stream too. I broke everything right before we started.
Well, for anybody who's watching, hello.
Oh, I don't know why. When I move one camera, it moves both of them for some reason. So I don't know. We're just gonna flip it over here. So it's just you or just me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why you're invisible all of a sudden. You were right there. That's very interesting. If I open you up there, I see you. So why reset trans? I don't get it. I I love and hate OBS sometimes.
What's up to you?
Well, okay, if I bring you in the folder that I
Uh
made,
huh. Yeah.
you show up.
Yeah.
But if I try to adjust your size, it moves me.
Don't put me in the folder. Put me above the Excalibur.
Well, that's what I tried to do, but then you just completely disappear.
Weird.
Yeah.
Hello, Glee. Thank you for being here.
And there's a lack of music. Yeah, that's so weird. If I try and... Of course, now it's not showing either one of us. Okay, there we are on that. But if I try and adjust you, I, for some reason, start moving.
Hey, we're both on the screen right now. It's my nose. Hey, you're moving it.
Yeah, but why does it move me too?
It's funny. I don't see you moving on the stream.
No, I have the studio mode, so where you have one screen.
Ah,
So usually the stuff doesn't change while you're doing it, but sometimes it does. Okay. I'm clicking. That is so weird. All right, maybe we turn studio mode off. That seems to be broken. Okay. Yeah, that fixed it.
studio mode can be really wonky.
It was very wonky. All right. So anyway,
Hello, Twice Dead Mage.
I think we
Maybe your
figured it
music will work now
out.
if you're not in studio mode.
I'm not gonna push my luck.
Oh, okay.
We're just gonna be musicless today. So
Music list.
yeah, I mean we'll probably be chatting anyway. So
Glee says I look good.
I don't even have my chat up yet.
That's all right. I got the ultimate.
You got it?
Scrat always looks good though. I just look good right now, but Scrat always looks good.
So let's see. Pop out chat. Why is there a fan funding button? My fans don't have funds. Let's see.
I can flirt with you, Scrat, on
Whoa.
Glee's behalf. I think is what I'm understanding.
It's getting
Look
hot
at
and heavy in here.
I made a smiley face.
All right, let me
I'm drawing
post
arrows
this.
to it.
YouTube pings live and broken. An EZD6 playset project. All right, I think we're good.
Cool. Twice Dead Mage, how you doing, buddy?
I won with the squirrel and octopus are having. All right, so here's what we're going to attempt to do, because what we need is another project. So me and what?
No, I saw your little post, the description of the video.
Live and broken.
No, just because you need another project or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So we both have plenty of projects going, right? He runs
Always.
a bazillion games. He's got other things he's creating. I got YouTube and writing and my little side projects on top of nuts. So Twice Dead Mage is drunk and hungry. Nice. I could go for some grilled cheese and a wild blaze. Nice.
A wild blaze appears. I throw my Pokeball.
As you've probably noticed, me and Jacob have been running some games together, doing stuff, streaming some things. So we decided, or we got to talking the other day, and we're like, man, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. And then we were like, well, why don't we both try and tackle something? And we were like, well, do we actually work good together? So this is kind of what that is, to experiment. We wanted to start.
He meant to say, well. Let's start off right now.
So we were going to start with something smaller, like much smaller, just so we could go through the steps to see how we share workloads and do all that. And I also want the Kickstarter experience because I've been doing a lot of TTRPG reviews, and that usually involves a lot of Kickstarters, and I am unfamiliar with it other than saying, here's my money, I support you. I want to see what it's like on the other end. Kind of harder to do with super small projects, but Jacob has that experience. He has done it before. You did Beastie Binder or something. What was it? Binder of Beasties?
Yes, yep. For an Open Legend bestiary, Open Legend RPG.
So, he made something, managed stuff, got funded, and did all that. So I'd like to try that. No particular scale. But the reason we landed on an EZD6 playset is because Jacob was putting together an EZD6 campaign for me, Glee, and Michelle, which is Jacob's woman. So I think that's right. 3 players, and then you're the GM. So just a little family fun thing we're going to do to unwind, like every other week. And then he was building this kind of not Redwall setting, is what we were calling it. And we're going super vanilla EZD6, except he made a bunch of races and species to play as, badgers and mice and everything. So we thought, well, we can borrow from that and just make an EZD6 playset that's more involved, right? More involved in the sense it's not just the vanilla rules. Like, we will come up with new classes and the new species we're going to pull probably from some Wasted World and stuff. I know one thing, and we've barely talked about this. We were trying to save all the spitballing and brainstorm until we got on the stream. But like, one thing we knew we liked was like, do we want magic? And I was like, well, there's that magic resistant system, but it can be flavored to something else. And we were currently thinking about making it a predator rating or a fear system. So like, if you're a little mouse and you're going up against a snake, the snake may have 3d6 magic, but it's that fear rating and you got to work against it. And if you're a little mouse, you only got like 1d6. So you can slap that on the screen somewhere if you want.
Oh, I guess I could do actual work.
Yeah,
yes, good point.
I'm
just over here just drawing.
I don't know if we want to call it predator system, predator rating. You can say magic system 2B. Twice that made. I also add really thin slices of potatoes with the cheese. Oh, that would be pretty good. And Glee is right. There's a lack of cheese in the house.
There should be no such thing.
If his Redwall Mouse Guard inspired, you could go for a swamp instead of a forest. Ooh, swamp. Then I could kill frogs, right? I hate frogs.
You love frogs.
Hate them. The Squirrel's going with Kickstarter. Maybe. We'll say. Like I said, I want the experience to see what it's like and do all that. I don't want my test run to like blow out of proportion, like that Hellborn game. He hit all of his stretch skulls and then got a bit extra. It's like, I want something small. Get my toes
Keep
wet.
It simple, right? Yeah.
The store had quarantined. They did. They had it all taped off, the cheese section, for some reason.
I mean, Twice As Mage is onto something with this swamp instead of a forest.
Kill frogs and crocs and dragons. Well, I mean, that could be part of.
Definitely
right?
be part
Maybe
of
not
it,
the whole thing. I did, so part of me wants to make modules for nuts, and I did want a Battle of the Swamp module, just so I could have turtles kill frogs.
Swamps are so cool, though.
Yeah,
for sure. So, do you want to talk more about this magic system, or do you want to? Where do we want to start?
I went off a little tangent there. So the only thing we know is that's something we wanted to look into, and then you had a bunch of species you had made.
Correct.
Was like a badger, an otter, a vole.
I can pull them up.
Yep. And then they all had their own little perks they came up with, basically, like their own inclinations. And we'll probably start from there, or we'll use that because I feel like we were kind of leaning towards species having a really big impact on what you did.
That was
Some,
something I liked that idea. Yeah,
yeah,
for
but
sure.
not. I don't know how much we want to drill into that because we were also looking at Wasted World, which introduced edges, which is like each class gets a couple edges they can choose from, but they only get one. But it like farther defines what they are. So one example was the vole. We're thinking his edge could be either he's super duper sneaky or he's really good at foraging, which was a perk you had already given him.
Correct.
Are you going to participate in RPG party competition? Is that the one I posted, Blaze?
That is, I
Because
believe that's the one you posted.
I am going to send nuts to that, I think. I want the fine print. I can't find the fine print. Like, how... What am I going to get lassoed into that I'm not aware of? But I do want to send it. I've been trying to polish it up. So
I just slapped in a whole bunch of notes to. I know that our viewers are not going to be able to read it all, but
that's terrible. We're supposed to read it. Read
how
all
do I
our dirty thoughts.
Dirty thoughts.
Whoa!
Well, I can rotate it. That was trippy.
We had some things that we were going to talk about or try and target this stream, whether we did or not. Also, the idea is to kind of share the progress too. Like,
yeah,
we're going to aim for once a week. And we're starting off wonderfully because we'll do a little bit between the streams, but like I'm probably not going to get much done at all this week because I'm going to get my book back Monday morning, and then I have to hammer in on that to get back with the editor and go over everything they did. So that's going to be most of my week. Yeah, I've already had to cancel a few other things. Like, I'm not going to have time. I'm going to be locked in a room for a few days.
So what I really liked, I like the idea of having both the species and a class. Of course, we can change the name of what class is. We can change it to job. For some reason, that fits better, in my opinion, to the not red wall setting. Of course, I'm definitely up for thoughts here. You know,
how about this?
Yeah.
Setting name suggestions.
If anybody has any suggestions.
We'll just put that over there.
Twice-edged mage would like me to whisper to him.
Jacob has a nice whisper. Go make us you bearded beast.
You bearded beast. Yeah, so we're going to you are officially the competition.
Oh, I'll see you on the ballot. Under the moss and stone. You've been trying to name a brand for weeks. Don't put this on.
Don't put this on me. Yeah,
it's only my entire future writing on it. Glee, no pressure.
We're not set anything yet. I mean, for when we were just you and I and Michelle and Glee in our little game that we were making up, I was just calling it not Redwall or Redwall adjacent or something. But Moss and Stone is pretty funny.
I know. Yeah, when he said Moss and Stone, that was the first thing that came to mind. Rock and Stone.
Moss and Stone. Yeah. But I kind of curious on your thoughts, Scrat. We've kind of talked about a little bit outside of here, but is having pick a species and then pick a class too many options for somebody in the EZD6 setting? Is it too much to track?
So Wasted World. See, neither one of us have played Wasted World yet. We've just read over it. So that one, you pick your hero path, and then, like I said, that one introduced.
I believe it's called Survivor, right?
Yeah, Survivor. But that one introduced edges, which is what I said. It's a really good inclination that's unique to that class, hero path, survivor, whatever. That kind of lets you fine tune the direction you want to go. But another thing Wasted World added was, instead of just one long list of inclinations that everybody chooses from, they have groups. So like the mutant survivor, he gets to pick like 2 inclinations from the survivor group and then 3 inclinations from the mutated group. So
I believe they're called muties.
In the book.
Muties.
Yep. It's Dave. What's going on, Dave? Can't talk long. Terrible. But so do we want to have... See, if we have one giant group of inclinations, then people get to mix and match more. And if you have groups, then you can, I will say, more easily balance the different classes. So, do we want people to be kind of shoved into a group or a class? Or do we
Well,
want it to where, like, well, you can pick the badger, which is bigger than everybody else, but be a little weakling at the same time? Or is it going to be, well, you pick the badger, you're big, so you got warrior, knight, brute, barbarian builds.
oh, interesting. Man, I like both options because I like having options and the control of building my character the way I want. If I want to build a badger who sits and reads books all the time, but does that fit the setting? And if you think about the Redwall setting, yeah, I don't know anybody in chat's ever actually read the books or anything like that, but I've read a few of the books. The badgers are typically, especially young badgers, they go through like the whole bloodlust period where they want to fight and they have a rage. They're more of a barbarian feel, and then hoping to become the badger lord. And so, like, if we're trying to capture that feeling, I tend to lean towards if you pick a badger, they have access to. I like the idea of like the three you said were like what, warrior, barbarian, you said
Knights,
knight,
berserkers,
yeah,
yeah, all that, just, broody, big stuff. So,
yeah,
it might be
but
easier to just start with a massive group of inclinations, and then if we end up with a bunch that we really like but don't work together, or breaks things, then we can consider. Or I was going to say, then we could that gives you like an extra strike or something.
right,
I don't know.
or you're a mole and you're really good at digging. I just want to say something to Twice Dead Mage. Did you know that there's actually an official recipe book out there based off of Redwall? It's pretty good.
Is this not Redwall part of a fantasy setting, or is this a map renovating a hidden world from our view? We don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out. Let's say we got a concept of a plan.
Yeah, we're really just sitting here throwing thoughts together. I mean, the world I'm building, there is a cookbook, Twice Dead Mage. The world that I'm building for you guys,
we're going to borrow from a little bit here and there as needed.
Correct. But also it's more of its own setting. So its own fantasy setting.
Travis says, Scrat, I can't stick around because I gotta get back to work, but I'm excited to catch the VOD. I've always been curious about EZD6. It's a fun game. Highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
Start with vanilla EZD6 before you try the other ones, because they kind of add on top of it.
Bye, Blaze.
Blaze is a fan of allowing more combinations. I know you are. That's why your game is the way it is. Bye, Blaze. All right. So.
Yeah, I mean, so let's start just dropping thoughts. So my question is then, so the species I made, would you not, and I'm still kind of mess. Obviously those are not perfect either, because it was more of just brainstorm thoughts that I shared with you, but would you take away the bonus that I gave to each one?
I like the idea of some of those being edges, like we mentioned earlier. Like the vole, you made the vole, he can always find something to forage. Like, that's this boon you could get. But since he's also small, to be like, okay, well, you could either have that, or your edge could be your super sneaky. Like, you get boons to any stealth action or something like that. That way, you get some options. You're still the little mouse, but it's like, which way you want to lean. Don't know if we want to do that. If we do that, I feel like we wouldn't need species grouped inclinations, which could be simpler. Like, it's just like, nope, there's your. Oh, well, that's a species. That would make the species a class. I'm sorry. All right. So
and that's what I'm trying to figure out, the separation here. Do we stick with just the species have this boost, and then so this is why we needed to sit and chat, because I could see going any of those directions that we've already talked about, right? The wide open, pick your inclinations to build the whole thing.
Well, I know we had said off stream, and I don't want to reveal too much because I don't know how much Scotty has revealed, but we did playtest something with Scotty who approached character creation a little differently. And while that was super duper fun and we liked it, we both decided we didn't want that for this.
Correct.
Yeah. So that goes back to so if we had hero paths or classes, whatever you want to call them, what are some of the things you're thinking? Would it just be basic? You're a knight, you're a warrior, you're a barbarian, you're a bard, you're a scholar. That would be kind of neat. Just total tangent here. If you had a scholar, normally that one has a super high magic rating. They could have their predator sense or resistance would actually be high because they're smart enough to know and overcome their fear, kind of thing.
Yeah, through intelligence, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, I know how this snake moves. I can get out of his vision over here or something like this, blah, blah. So it could be kind of neat. But
I'm just trying to find, I wrote down a note somewhere in our little notepad, but I'm not actually seeing it. So, whatever. Yep, not sure. Maybe I just didn't save it. Not a big deal. But because I was picturing kind of the same thing, do your warrior, thief. I had a list I thought I sent you somewhere.
So if we did have classes,
yep,
warrior, scholar, good at predator. Gotta have a barbarian.
You and your barbarians.
I love barbarians.
Ranger or thief, or do we separate those?
Ranger, scout kind of thing. Hello, Crash.
Hi, kitty.
Ranger, scout. There's another word for that, but I can't think of what it is. And then a thief, scoundrel.
Yeah.
I did not spell scoundrel right.
That's okay.
How do you spell scoundrel? Is that not H? I'm missing a D. Scoundrel. There we go. I figured it out. Nah, he's fine, Glee. You going for classes instead of backgrounds? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. Would we have a bard kind of thing?
Yeah, well, because I was also thinking of friar, going down the religious route.
Priest. Yeah.
Or priest, yeah. Because I had a list I wrote you somewhere, and I must not have saved it. I thought I put it in our OneNote. Yeah, priest or friar or healer, doctor kind of thing.
Minstrel,
scholar.
The better bard. Here we go.
Yeah, the better bard.
just how he put it. All right, so that's, if we have that over here, then that means they would go over here. That is a big arrow. And then choose a species. But I like my drawn arrow. Fine. Did you actually connect it?
That's what I was gonna do, but you keep moving it.
Ah, so sorry, bro.
No, you're good. Oh, now it's moving.
Collaborative work. I don't know how it actually connects. I think it's probably just always is the nearest edge. Well, I don't know, maybe not. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of
but
weird.
That's cool. I've never used this program before, so.
Me neither. I totally did not steal it from Peter. I saw him using it the other day. I was like, that looks pretty cool. I'm going to try it. So, all right, where?
So then species, I mean, I have a list and we don't have to be set on the list, but I had the mouse folk, hedgehogs, squirrels.
So, okay.
Otters. Do you want me to make that list while you talk?
Well, actually, I'm trying to, let me put this here. So, class in vanilla EZD6 gives basically inclinations, like special ones.
Yeah, that are specific to the species.
Gives special.
And that's kind of what I thought I was doing when I had made this. But mind you, you're more versed in EZD6 than I am, actually.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to go back and look. Hi, Crash. You come here to stab me with your little claws.
But Daddy, I love you.
Whoa. species give you extra perks, inclinations. And then you can choose custom inclination. That's vanilla EZD6. If I remember right. Now I'm going to pull up the PDF real quick and look.
That's actually what I was just doing too. Just to double check.
Is the size difference between species something you want to focus on? It has come up. Like, that's why I keep referencing the badger. He is significantly bigger than everybody else, and that's something we'll have to kind of figure out.
Well, that's something they talk about in the books a lot too. So is it something that we make a big deal about, or is it just a player character kind of thing? So how to create a pusher and a shover from the first book. You choose your hero path, then you choose your species, then you choose your inclination. 3 for humans, 2 for other species.
Because they get a special.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then like the warrior, for example.
He has his ability with a shield. Yeah. So well, actually, he gets all those. You don't have to choose. That's right.
You don't choose. You get all 3.
You can break your shield, and then you can dual wield, or you can use 2 hands, and that modifies how you fight. Like the warden, which is a ranger. That one had the forager stuff, which we use for the bowl. So really, the edges are like an extra layer to hone in on what you want to do.
Yeah. So I definitely think the species should come with a bonus, because like if we go to the species and look at them real quick, because human specifically says it's just 3 inclinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost the species. I did this last time too.
So we could, instead of, this is a random thought, instead of the species potentially adding class-specific benefits, like the badger getting the +1 HP, maybe they just get something that's really unique to their real-life species, like the squirrel, no fall damage. That works with any class, I feel like. But that's unique to a squirrel. So
right.
So is that something we want to consider? That way the species isn't a critical pick, but it makes you feel unique. Or I mean, it doesn't force you into a role.
Yeah. So I like that, and that keeps it simple, because like the species in the regular book are elf, twilight sight. You see twice as far as in dim light, and then you get a boon to resist mind-altering magics. So you have an overall, like, the squirrel doesn't take any fall damage, but then you could still do the boon to climbing.
Mm-hmm. And then a mole could like, okay, now you can dig like a madman. Again, not specific. I mean, probably some classes would benefit more than others, but it's not like, oh, well, you picked the knight. Yeah, I really got to pick this species, right, to really take advantage. So,
and that's kind of what I wanted. It was like you could almost fit all these species on one page with, this is just, what do you want to play? This is their little bonus they get that doesn't really break the game, like you're saying, right?
Yeah, but it is like no fall damage. I feel like that's pretty unique. Like, oh man, I can just lunge off of something. I'm good. So,
but it makes for fun role play when the rest of your party's like,
yeah, or maybe you just don't have to roll a 1 if you get knocked off of a ledge, versus where if you jump, you get it for free.
Yeah. Actually, that's really cool. That's a cool way of role playing it out too.
Yeah. Twice dead mage. If my memory doesn't fail me, EZD6 doesn't use HP. It has strikes. Correct. The big boys of the system, badgers and such, could have 1 more and deal more damage to small creatures if you hit them. Race, species, and class energy is seldom important unless you min-maxing. Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, obviously you always be able to min-max, but I'd like to negate it as much as possible. But yes, EZD6 has strikes. Most characters have 3 strikes. Like the brute gets 4 or 5 or something. But then we also got to think about armor rating. Is that going to be tied to the class, I guess? Well, yeah, if we're doing classes, I guess it would be.
Yeah, I was going to put that to the class for sure.
Okay.
because I mean that's what makes sense to me, and that's the thing is so I think we're on the right track here. So you choose your species. It's funny. I like to choose my species first because then to me, then I mentally, I know that's different than the way EZD6 vanilla does it.
Great mustache caught me min-maxing. He's on to me. I've been outed.
I missed it.
He said, I'd like to minimize min-maxing while maximizing narrative and roleplay.
That's true.
We're all min-maxers on this blessed day. All right. So let's do a sample character here.
Yep.
What do we want to make? Squirrel Knight?
Squirrel Knight.
Squirrel Knight?
With a beard.
Squirrel Knight with a beard. So, class would be a knight, right? Something like that.
So warrior or knight, yeah.
Warrior, knight.
Hello, Sage 2D6.
So class.
You wrote class again.
I did, but like class inclinations, perks, whatever. We'll just call them inclinations. Class inclinations, which would be what?
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Well, I mean, we just spitballing something here, like as an example. So,
yeah.
Well, we just copy paste for now. Shield perk, two-handed thing. We know what we're talking about. From the vanilla one. So then you'd get.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, a species perk inclination, which would be
correct.
No fall damage, right?
Correct.
Squirrel.
And then a boon to climbing.
We could. Climbing boon. And then player chosen inclinations. Is that the way we want to go?
See, I like that because then now all of you could be Squirrel Knights, and you're gonna get the same perks from your warrior training and the fact that you're a squirrel. But then you have two inclinations that you can choose to round out your character so that you're all different.
Well, keep going. I had a thought.
No, go ahead. What's your thought?
Well, I was gonna say vanilla EZD6. Everybody gets 3 or 2 inclinations. In Wasted World, it really opened up. You're grabbing like 5, 6, or 7. So, do we want to have inclinations be more potent and you only pick a couple, or do we want them to be like real small things and they can pick a bunch? Or
yeah, I mean,
let me pop open Wasted World here.
I have Wasted World up also. In Wasted World, how does the leveling up work? I actually have not read that part because I was picturing. Go ahead.
And in EZD6, the leveling up's kind of up to you. It's like give them magic items, maybe an extra boon if they get trained. Now, Scotty did make a level up deck, which is really cool. It's something you can buy separate. And there's like a deck of cards you get, and you can shuffle them around, and the players get to draw 1 or 2 or something when they level up. And there's a little mini game involved there. Like you can draw so many, discard a couple, try again, but you're stuck with whatever you got. Little mini game there. But some of them are like just a straight, here's a boon to this that you always have. But some are like, you can restore 1 strike once per session. So like you use it once and then, it's on a cooldown to your next session. Little things like that. That is an option. Or we can, if we really wanted to go against the grain and just give ourselves more work, add a level up path. I'm more in favor of letting the GM figure out how they want to level up because it's unique to each table. It's like magic items are more fun I feel like if they are unique to your character.
Absolutely.
Like my go-to example is the first campaign I did where she was a cleric, I think. I gave her a really special shield that let her flip-flop between a very defensive stance and a very offensive stance, which adjusted her stats accordingly. But that was unique to her because it came from her deity and all that good stuff. So
right, which is really easy to do in EZD6, something like that. For sure.
You can just say, "Here's a fire sword." So,
and see, I like having a lot of inclination. So, because it would be cool, and how I would run EZD6 is obviously magic items are always a wonderful thing, and story rewards are always great. But I also love the idea of like, well, this player has constantly been doing or attempting to do this. Well, to reward them at a certain point after they've done it is you give them the inclination. You give them that climbing boon because they were, choosing to climb up every building or tree that we came across. Um, so, but that doesn't have to be tied to an inclination, right? You can just say, hey, your character has unlocked a boon to climbing because
or,
you're doing so
here's
much.
Or like in Krieg's case, he rolls so bad, I have to give him something to make up for it. Like the second campaign we did, we were playing 5e. I gave him a spear that always rolled with advantage no matter what. And he still missed most of his rolls.
I love it. I love it.
He's so good though. If the system doesn't use XP, I just use the Black Sword Hack leveling up system, which is pretty nice for milestone campaigns. I love
milestone. I mean, that's how I run most of my actually Pathfinder campaigns is milestone. I think it fits the story way better than trying to track every ounce of experience, and then you forget to give experience for whatever, and then you're off. It's just too much to track, and it takes out of the focus of the story because then players are like, well, then how much experience did I get for that?
Yeah, and then they want to kill everything for points. So, Wasted World here, looking at the difference in what characters get. So the hunter, it's got his strikes, his armor rating, his avoidance, which is the miraculous save, and his miasma resistance, which is your magic resistance. So that part's the same, but then they have path inclinations, which was like the shield and stuff like that. So that's normal. So like he gets a boon to tracking, boon to shooting ranged weapons. And then it says choose 4 additional inclinations, and they come from the survivor talents list. So he gets that's more than vanilla, but they're all in that one group that we talked about. But then it
has that limitation.
Yeah, and then it also says choose 1 edge, and his edges are sneak attack and harvester. So you know which way you want to lean. And then
I guess it depends on how much work you want to put in.
Well, it's not so much the work. I mean,
it's
about the same either way.
So for me, I'd like to offer something that's obviously different than vanilla, right? Because if it's going to be close up to vanilla, just go play EZD6 vanilla.
Yeah.
So offering something that is different. So I'm actually am leaning a little bit more towards the Wasted World feel of the warrior has edges that you pick from, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah. In Wasted World, you got the edges.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I like that idea because then you could have your shield warrior, your two-handed warrior, your javelin warrior, or whatever. Like we can come up with different options. This is just all spitballing thoughts. But I'm curious, are you against that?
Well, I don't know. So like say you got your warrior, we'll just say type. Yep. And then your edges are basically, do you want to be a paladin? Do you want to be a barbarian? Do you want to be a knight? That's basically what your edges are doing. So, edge 1, the paladin is like, you're really good with a shield. The barbarian, you have the two-handed boon now. Things like that. So you could either do that, or you could just have a warrior class, a barbarian class, a whatever class, and it would, I feel like, be the same thing.
Yeah, I guess it's a matter of how you want to get there, right? An organization.
Having edges would take up less page space and feel less redundant, right? Instead of having 3, here's your paladin page, here's your barbarian page, and here's your knight page, and they have mostly the same stats. So
I do think that's probably a better way of doing it then.
Yeah.
Especially for organizational sake.
Yeah. I kind of like the edges because that makes me think of advanced jobs in the old Final Fantasy games, or MMOs. Like you start out with a job, and then as you level up, you specialize in something that branches off of that. So I like edges. Up to, well, I guess up to us. It ain't up to you. But
we're working together, buddy. Then let's pick that route, and we'll start planning that out that way. And then we'll go from classes. The class is it's warrior, right? And then we're gonna go paladin, barbarian, knight. But knight and
that's the
paladin are pretty close, right?
Yeah, well, if there's some healing stuff, you could give a paladin, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if we did create a character, Squirrel Knight with a beard, so we'd have. Maybe we shouldn't call him class. Maybe concept.
I liked job.
Job. I like that. All right, so job, warrior, and then edge. Well, you got edge. And then you say choose one, and then it would be shield master, something like that. I mean, you may not want to call them another job like paladin.
Correct.
So shield master. Warlord could be
face smasher. No, I'm just kidding.
Warlord, is that one word?
It's Lord of War.
Two-handed. Isn't that a Nicolas Cage movie?
It is a Nicolas Cage movie.
That
was that era where he just like cranked out a ton of
just whatever he could get paid for.
Yeah.
All right. So class, would you?
So then you'd lose class inclination.
You would lose class inclinations, and so do we want to have just a big pool of inclinations or a individual groups like Wasted World?
I'm leaning towards the big pool so that you could make that warrior who dabbles in whatever, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So your job and edges are kind of where you want to focus, and then you can branch out or focus as you want.
Correct.
Okay. I like that.
I like that.
So like if you wanted to be two-handed swinging warlord who maybe has a med kit or something on it. You know?
Yeah. And that's okay. You choose that player inclination. So now we're back to how many inclinations does a player choose?
I think we'll figure that out as we start making inclinations.
Okay.
A lot of them are probably going to be the same as EZD6 because like boon to melee weapons, that's kind of when you have to have boon to sneaking, boon
Absolutely.
to yeah. So.
I do think that we could potentially rename some of them just to fit the setting.
Yes, very much so.
I do think that we're going to end up pulling a lot of similar, because like you said, how do you not give them a boon to melee weapons if that's what they want to choose?
Yeah.
So generic ones for sure. And then I think we should come up with some unique ones that fit the setting.
But so we're going to have a lot of unique ones from the species, like the fall damage one, and the squirrels. So I don't know if we'll be working ourselves into a corner, but I guess we'll figure out when we get there. There's nothing wrong.
What do you mean by working yourself in the corner? Help me understand that.
We get into a position like where we can't come up with anything without drastically changing how the system functions.
I see.
It's like, okay, we made all these unique ones for the species, and then we have all these inclinations we copied. Now we need more unique stuff, and that's like, well,
but we were keeping the species ones pretty simple, right? Where was the
simple
no fall damage?
But unique. It's simple, but can really change stuff up. It's nothing complicated, but it can drastically change the way you play. But the idea is to make it unique to their real life counterpart.
Okay.
That's why the squirrel's got the no fall damage.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a little exaggerated, but Cool. Let's see. Survive an adventure, gaining a story, write the title of that story. When your number of stories equals your current level, you level up. Wow. And start counting stories again. Gold for XP. I like that concept, but I've never tried it. But I like the idea.
I've never played around gold for XP. Never even thought about it or researched it.
I feel like that, which is a good thing, would really encourage exploring and looting. It's like, oh, let's find something and sell it.
That's true. It's an interesting concept for sure.
And like,
I mean,
it's not just kill everything. It's like, well, we don't have to kill them. We just need the gold, so we can go around.
Yeah,
them.
And that actually would work well in Pathfinder because there is like the gold spot you're supposed to get per each level. Man, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah. I would say, I feel like I've played games that work that way. Like video games, but not TTRPGs. But I can't think of the actual video game. But I feel like there's one where you got gold. I mean, like the
Now, is
Elder
it gold?
Scrolls series, you can take your gold and get trained in a skill, so it's kind
And
of
so it would be based off of your character's wealth.
yeah. Can a PC be a sprite same size than a small species?
I mean, I don't have sprites in this system yet, but it doesn't mean that we, you know what, guys, you help us make this really awesome and it blows up and makes Scrat $1 million. We'll write a book. We'll add sprites. I'm just teasing you, bud.
I want to get that Sean Bova money so he can make us some artwork.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. So choose X inclinations, species, perk, inclination. That's the same. Well, let's just call
I was just saying, we probably delete that one at the bottom, right?
Species, perk, and then player. Yeah, because we're okay. So that's why we're gonna do it. So we're gonna do class, job, whatever, edges, inclinations, big pool of inclinations, and then unique species thing. And I guess we will have. Do you want to have the human thing where you have this one? I think you had it as mice where they get an extra inclination.
Yeah.
You just want to keep that.
Yeah, because I was having them be the humans, like you were saying, of the setting, because they're probably the most common.
That was because we were trying to be super vanilla, and we didn't want to change much stuff. But now that we're actually making something, do we want to not do that and say nope? Just everybody gets X inclinations, and your species.
Actually, you know,
could be simple,
and that way it's less tracking too, in a way, for the player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's pretty simple. So then you know what? Let's do that. Let's change it. Let's make it different. I like that.
I know what we can do. We'll take that out. So no species gets an extra inclination. There can be one of the jobs gets less perks and has the option for an extra inclination. You can be the wild card. Just let you.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Wasted World has one like that, don't they?
I'm not sure. I don't.
The Jack, I think, was his.
Oh, the Jack of all trades. Yeah.
Take this edge. One more. Choose another inclination from the cyber talents list, and he gets 6 inclinations. So he's just like, be what you want. He's the
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Well, not so much the Jack of all trades. You could make him that way, but it's the blank slate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you have more wiggle room instead of, that Path of Exile skill tree. That massive thing, and each class starts at a different corner, but can technically branch all the way. And then they have that one class you can unlock that starts right in the middle.
I won't tell you how many hours I have in Path of Exile 1.
I wanted to like it. There's things I love about it. Like I love the gym system and you slot into the equipment. I love how the potions work.
And I loved how you weren't stuck in your class. Because I made a warrior who also summoned some zombies. I had a blast with it.
It's brilliant, but I hated how I couldn't customize my character. Like the warrior was always that warrior guy. The rogue was always that rogue guy. But skill wise, you could. But it was cool. I just couldn't get into it. I appreciated it though.
I played it with Michelle for quite a bit. I tried to get to number 2, and I'm not quite there. It's too. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. But I wanted to like it, and I think it needs some time to cook, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Gold
cool. For XP makes your player con men, thieves, and dungeon raiders. Less murder hobos at my table than my friends. Necro warrior sounds fun. Yes, it does. So, all right, we have a path here.
I think that's fantastic.
I wish I could put a border around this or something.
You might be able to.
I could draw around it, but it wouldn't be stuck to it. I need a locked-in color or something. Yeah, let's see if I move it.
You can't lock it all together. Yeah, you can. There's a button.
I thought that just locked it in place.
It does.
I'm trying. Well, let's just say the green text here is
done.
Set. Like we really like that. That's a keep thing.
Cool.
Like Moss and Stone up here.
Moss and Stone.
Moss and Stone.
We might end up naming it Moss and Stone. I'm telling you. Uh-oh. You got a thought?
I like that. All right. No.
I actually really liked Moss and Stone, I'll be honest with you.
Moss and Stone. Then that needs to have, well, I guess that's where my Sure, the load comes in. I got to work that into the lore and why that's important and why people moss and stone.
Yeah.
Or
No, we'll
moss.
definitely have to come up with a cool little story. And we don't have to stick with it, but now we actually, the fact that we even have a name to call this project brings
Moss
me
and
excitement.
stone.
It's Week Wall at the Moss and Stone Project.
Yeah, we'll get rid of this one.
Oh, that's so cool. All right. Thank you for that, by the way. Was that Twice Dead Mage?
I believe so.
You rock, buddy. So let's, I mean, I don't know how much time you have.
It's Scotty.
Oh,
Looky there,
Scotty's
he
in
found
here.
us.
now,
All
whew,
right,
got a
I
little
gotta
red
go,
there.
guys. I'll see you
We
later.
gotta go. Hey, Scotty, how's it going, buddy?
It was.
So then let's talk.
Hmm?
Let's talk about. I mean, I don't. What's your time frame looking like? You got a little bit more time?
Oh yeah. I got that.
Cool.
Let's
So
see how long
let's
my
talk
voice
about
holds out.
your voice.
Yep, that's okay. I got tea. I'm good.
Okay. Let's just start banging out some species then, since we already have them half started, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with the mouse. And what do we want? So, like I said, originally I was following the original EZD6. I was making the mouse more like the humans, the most common race you see,
Yeah.
humans and blah blah blah. But I really liked the idea of doing its own thing. Like, let's make it different than the original EZD6. So you want to start writing, or do you want me to?
I got it. I'll make a box over here.
You're pretty awesome at that stuff,
All right. So species, races, rodents. All right. So we know the squirrel.
Yeah.
He gets. I don't want to do this. Can't like make
Squirrel.
I can't type squirrel. No fall damage. Are we just gonna give him like one thing, or are they gonna get a couple?
I like the idea of one in a boon. Like one, like this is the thing, and then the boon, the climbing boon. And that way it's pretty simple. That way everybody is a squirrel. It's not kind of like you were saying earlier. That way when you and I start making the inclinations or putting them together, you're not backed in the corner of being like, well, that oversteps X, Y, and Z. If you keep it simple with like a, hey, no fall damage, and then the boon to climbing. Do we specify the no fall damage on a voluntary jump, or is that too much words?
No, that's fine. Let's say no.
We got a handful.
Anything
We got a
but
swords and stones who's just entered chat with a smiley poop question mark.
Otherwise, it's a free landed.
And then we have another question. What are we doing? And is EZD6 considered OSE or OSR?
Actually, we got a few things. So Mustache says, if only you had a good writer / author to get something written up for it. So yes, that's what I was saying earlier when we were talking about splitting the workload and seeing how well we do this together. That part definitely falls on my shoulders. So
Yeah.
I get to do both the creative and the technical writing. Jacob gets to be the brains and figure out a balance.
Play test too, all that kind of stuff.
Frogs, catfish, mice, hares, badgers, foxes, maybe wildcats. Bone brew. What are we doing? And this.
So OSL EZ6 is NSR, new system reference, or maybe OSR adjacent. They're using big words.
They are. I don't. I mean, EZD. I don't know if this just makes me look like
OSR is the old school Renaissance, right?
That's what I thought, but I know nothing about it.
It's essentially like playing like Shadow Dark is supposed to have an OSR feel.
Okay.
I had to read that in order to spell
it. So, anyway, EZD6, yeah, it's its own standalone thing, and we're just going to try making a play set, is what I believe Scotty calls them for it. Which brings its own setting, its own classes, some probably unique boons and abilities. I guess technically, Wasted World was a playset, and it brought new mechanics. See you, Blaze.
Bye, Blaze.
I'm not gonna say we won't, but I don't foresee us adding new mechanics because what is already there is already so good and works, and you can just reflavor it, like we talked about earlier with magic resistance becoming predator resistance. for our
I think the only
little world.
mechanic we talked about adding was using a variation of the mechanic, having like the zones on the map, and this is later on down the road, of like this is an area where you don't have to stress out about your food and your supplies, but if you go outside it, the
Right. But
survival kind of feeling.
we did want to lean into the mouse ritter thing a little bit, where just not starving is an important thing. But that's why we were looking at Wasted World, because it brought some really good uh, inventory, and salvaging mechanics, which
Correct.
made food and water important, but not meticulous and overburdensome and all that.
Yeah, where you're tracking every water
Yeah.
piece you have.
So and
The
then there were
bone
going to
brew, we're
be
going
safe zones and stuff.
this. Yeah, so I like the idea of having the safe zones, and then outside of that, and that's where we're going to pull some from the Wasted World and that idea. And then the bone brew asks the setting. We're leaning into the red wall feeling, and so I don't know if you've ever heard of red wall, but it's like the animals, creatures that tell really cool stories. They're by Brian Jacques, or Jacques, as I've heard some people say it. Jacques. Let me see if I can pull up a book. And yeah, playset is what he just said. So
Also, I was going to say, you might, and this is writing yourself into a corner. What I was saying earlier, you wanted to give every species a special thing plus a boon. I feel like if you try and do that, you're going to run out of boons very quickly.
Oh, you think so?
I feel like you will, but maybe not.
Oh, that's a terrible image.
It is.
That's terrible.
That's so fuzzy.
It is fuzzy. Oh boy. I'll see if I find a better one.
So, but I mean, some can get them, like, but boon to climbing, I don't know. Don't.
Is that too much?
Well, I was gonna say, don't most rodents climb pretty good, but I guess the squirrels are particularly good at it.
I mean, squirrels are really good at climbing.
Really good at it.
Like that's.
Bone Brewer says Redwall is such a massive influence to me. I can get.
Oh, so here I am thinking I got to explain it, and he's all like,
"He knows what's up.
I know what's up."
What's up.
Okay, cool.
Love
the supply die.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're kind of outside of like your safe zones, so to speak. So I'm working on a world map already, and outside of the areas where obviously you don't stress out, the fear is not that high, which I wanted to talk about that fear level a little bit more, but I have some thoughts with that later we can talk about. Once you go outside of those safe zones, essentially, you have to start worrying about your supplies. And that was something that you and I talked about before, right, Scrap?
Yeah, no, I really Wasted World. I haven't got to try it, but what I saw on paper, the way it managed money, supplies, and all that sounded really good. Like,
you know, we can change
to make
that, right?
Hmm?
We could change that real quick.
Change what?
We can get some experience under your belt as a player. If you
we need to play some Wasted World, but see, the problem is, I don't feel like you get the full effect in just a one shot with the new supply mechanics. Like that would.
I agree with you.
You'd have to play multiple sessions to really get the feel for that, which I would like to do. But
well, hopefully, when you and our wives we start playing the game, maybe get a little bit more feeling for the supply die, at least.
We could bring that in if you wanted, but we were just doing vanilla EZD6 as far as I knew. Which
I believe there was a request from your wife that we add in the survival feel.
Maybe. Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming back to me.
She was all like, I want it to be a challenge.
I want to starve to death.
I don't want my character to die, but I want my character to die, is what she said.
I want them to die naturally. Scotty says EZD6 is inspired by OSR, but not in the D&D adjacent rules sense. Old school influence, modern rules.
It's a fantastic system. I mean, the vanilla is easy to pick up, but can be really great for storytelling. Runs well with both kids and adults, which is really nice. Actually, and DM Scotty is working on some really cool projects coming up. So,
oh man, I don't know if I'm allowed to show it or not, but he's
no, don't show it. Don't show it.
It's from his He was at the Green Dragon Con thingy recently. Which, by the
Oh,
way,
okay.
Scotty, is just like I really want to go to that one year, but it's like 5 hours this way. You just go straight across the state. Tennessee is a very short but long state. So it's just over in Knoxville, man. But anyway, he made a brain in a vat. It was really cool looking. Had LEDs and everything going on. It was so cool looking.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So back to our species. Do we talk then? So do you want to get rid of the boon?
Well, no, I'm just saying don't set yourself up saying we have to give everything a boon. Just
Okay.
back of your head, if it doesn't work, don't force it. So.
Oh, okay. I see. You were worried that I was going to get stuck on a specific model, and that has to be it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, next one. Let's see. What's a mouse get? Or actually, before we even start speaking of perks, what are some species we want? And we'll just put them down. So, we want a mouse.
I want a mouse.
Want a mouse.
I want otters.
We want otter.
Badgers.
Badgers. They're kind of big.
Hares.
Basically everything you have over there.
I mean, we could eliminate some of them. Like, I have both moles and voles.
I mean, those are very different critters, though.
I know, and there's shrews. I have hedgehogs.
All right, let's just put them all in here, and then as we're making them. So what do we got?
Somebody asked me for a shroomkin.
We might get rid of the shrooms. I like the shrooms being in the world, but maybe not as something we can play as.
Okay, I'm down with it.
Otters. We got the squirrels.
That's a whole different topic. Wait till we start talking about the enemies that you can find around Redwall, because I have some really fun ideas with that.
Killing all the lizards.
Killing all of the reptiles.
What do we got after shrews? I can't see.
Shroomkin. So don't worry about it.
Oh, that was the last of it, wasn't it? Okay.
Mouse, hedgehog, badger. Yeah. So I'll delete this thing. Boop. Done.
So what do we want to give the mice?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like.
The hedgehogs could have a bonus to defense or something.
Absolutely.
That would be really strong. Everybody,
you.
You have your armor rating, and then you get to roll that with a boon. That'd be, or maybe on a successful armor save, you hurt the enemy. That could be really good.
Horror than sci-fi. Maybe these people are all chatting in the thing. Great mustache. When are we going to have Adam, Scrat, Jacob, and me meet up Arkansas? Absolutely.
What do we have?
Buy swords and stones.
Well, so me and Glee do like to get down to Hot Springs, and that's not too far from Adam. He did mention, next time we go to give him a buzz, and he'll try and meet us over there. We mentioned mushrooms. You insisted on adding them. Yeah. Why not go less specific animals and go categorical, like mammals, reptiles? Well,
because reptiles
we're going to
bad.
Kill the reptiles. But that's not a bad idea, but not
it's a great idea, and it is definitely something that I considered if we were doing more of just like the animalistic Zootopia feel. Because that was something else I had considered at one point, and that way Glee could play a kraken or a cephalopod if she wanted to. But I really like I wanted to really stick with the kind of the Redwall feel of the furry folk, right?
Yep. But you could, like, if you did that, where you could have, then your job could be basic animal type, and then your edges and specializations would be more, you're figuring out what your animal is. So that is a pretty cool idea. Why? Oh, we already said that y'all are having too much fun. Ciao for now. All right, swords and stones. We'll see you around. Twice Dead Mage. Maybe because the stories of little critters and big adventures are usually mammals and not reptiles or birds. Now, what is something the sparrow? There's this old movie I watched as a kid. Willow the Sparrow or something like that. It was so weird. Like the birds had hair. It was weird.
The winds and the no. Oh my!
You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Where they're
Michelle's gonna kill me. I should know this.
That song that question, or is the specifics needed for setting here? Oh, that's a great question. Do some animals take away from that Red Bull vibe? Probably. Mushroom.
Well, you ever seen The Wind in the Willows?
What is that? It sounds super
Adventures of Mole, Badger, and Rat and Toad. My kids and I, we watched this like 2 or 3 months ago.
I'm just looking for Willow the Sparrow. Is that it? It is Willie the Sparrow. I was
Willie
close.
the Sparrow.
And it's so weird. That was a weird movie. Weird looking birds.
Oh, I do remember that movie.
I just remember that one song. But let's see, mushroom power would act like potions. The hallucinogenic effects manifest as fantastical effects. Oh yeah. Bird tamer. You get a flying mount.
The mushroom magic is cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what is something when you think of a mouse, what do you think? Now earlier in
I'm still reading chat. I'm slow.
Okay. No, chat's good. I mean,
I just was the Glee's here about her custom race for 5e. Yep, that was to clarify. It's before we discovered EZD6 and why we were playing such a terrible game. But it was a very cool race she made. The Fungally, they were very awesome. Had their lore and everything. It was very cool.
That's because Glee's actually really, really awesome.
Yeah, she's good at that stuff. And we did because we discovered EZD6 kind of like partway through that campaign. We even considered switching over to EZD6, but we had one player really didn't want to, and plus Glee had specifically planned out a character for 5e rules and really wanted to see how well it would work. So I was like, okay, we won't do it. But
yeah,
we did play one shot with their characters using the EZD6 rules, and it was such an easy, just the Fungally just dropped right in. It was so easy.
So back to a mouse.
Yep, back to the mouse or hedgehog or otters.
When I think of a mouse, I always think of how amazing they are at finding stuff. Like a mouse in your house, how come it always seems to be able to find where your sweets and where your food is, right? Like they have a keen sense to that.
Well, so it sounded like the vole. I mean, we could drop the vole because he's just kind of a smaller mouse, really. The vole was the forager in your original thought concept, and the ones we're doing for our campaign. So
correct.
Do you kind of want to merge those two, or
we could? I mean, it's my hesitation is because you literally built a character who's based on that. So
I mean, that's sort of the campaign. This is unrelated, it's semi-related, distant cousins.
You know how I am, though.
Yeah. Twice did mage. A monster for the setting could be the Rat King, a bunch of rats mixed into one body, fused together by magic. A multi-rat caster. So
that sounds terrible.
That was scary. A character in the first campaign I ran. It was Nayanat. Krieg played him. He was a rat folk, but technically he was like 1,000 rats.
Sounds absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I mean, for simplicity's sake, we could drop the vole.
All right.
Well,
I mean,
and add the forager to a mouse.
Yeah. So before we scratch him off, let's just make the mouse.
Keen senses.
So boon to foraging or auto forage, always able to find something. Basically, just copy paste what the vole had.
Now, the cool thing about always being able to find something though is it leaves it in the GM's discretion, and you can always add in like little unique things, or it'd be like, yeah, you found a piece of an acorn, like.
All right, always able to forage something in quotes.
I mean, we can all of this is just thoughts, right?
Yeah,
at this point in time.
So let's try a hedgehog here.
I liked the having something to add to the defenses with the hedgehog being that they're spiky,
but without getting too strong. Because
let me pull up my notes for the hedgehog. What did I have? I forgot.
Because, like, if you pick the warrior with the super low number to get over for your armor save, so really good armor, if you threw a boon to that, just like, oh man, you'll be avoiding everything.
I had that. They had a boon against being grabbed.
That's right.
And they get to do 1 strike damage as long as they have an enemy grappled. But we can modify it. That was just my thoughts when you and I were when I was just coming up with something for us to play. For us, so
all right. So I have an idea, but let's write yours down real quick. What was it?
I can copy paste if you want.
Okay, I'll start writing down mine. What was it? I lost it. Dang it.
Like a terrible 5e ranger.
I don't know how to spell successful.
Twice dead mage. That's the fun part. They're always able to find something. Doesn't mean that it's what they need. That one's a very GM discretion one. So we could definitely change it. Just kind of a thought we were having.
How about that? That way it doesn't affect your likelihood to succeed in armor save. But if you do save, you roll a d6, and on a 6, you actually damage the person.
I don't see what you wrote down.
Oh. Do I have to click out?
Is it because we were both copy pasting in there?
Oh, at the same time. Let me save this before it all crashes. Save the disk.
Because I do not see what you wrote. All I see is what I wrote.
Okay, that's interesting.
But Twice Dead Mage, that was my first thought too. Was like, I don't want to take away and just be like, oh, we have one mouse in the party. We don't have to worry about anything now. Like that seems ridiculous.
That's why it's forge something.
But that could be fun because there could be some foul forward moments in there, or cool little story gimmicks or hooks.
Did that delete the block for you?
The whole thing's gone.
Okay, so I'm going to repaste it. Now can you see it?
I do see it, but I don't see mine. That's okay. On a successful armor save, roll 1d6 on 6 you damage your enemy for 1 strike. Now, how does that work with ranged?
It doesn't. So you could say melee only or something. Melee attacks only.
The skull of a rat.
Ooh.
I like that. I like that because it fits the spikes. And what's kind of cool is we can go through and name these a little bit more. I mean, or is it obvious? A hedgehog has spikes, so that's why.
What do otters get? They get to swim.
Swim. Instantly went to swimming.
Big swim.
Big swim. Are we doing the automatic, auto swim unless under pressure, then it's a boon to swim kind of thing? Or just they be swimming?
Could be boon to water-related activities, but then also you're able to attack underwater, whereas nobody else can.
Sure.
All right.
I love that you put big lad.
Boon to swimming tasks, can attack underwater with melee weapons, we'll say. Can't shoot a bow underwater.
I gotta go try this. I'm just kidding.
You can shoot a bow into the water.
You could shoot a bow underwater. Just doesn't mean that's effective, right?
Okay. Crossbow, maybe.
According to the video games I played.
Just like leaving something up to the GM, have it where spikes may make it less likely for them to be targeted in melee, so might target ally first, etc., etc. That's a good point. Otters are also clever little fellas. They can be trained like dogs, and the U.S. government tried to weaponize them. I feel like I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, it's like they vaguely remember something like that.
All right. Well, no, we're on badgers. So they're bigger than everything else we've made so far, I feel like.
They be the big boys.
Bane.
I mean, I always picture them having... So I wrote it that they have rage. The once per session, they can enter a rage, plus 1 strike. There's a helicopter going over, very loud. Plus 1 strike and ignore fear effects during this time. And then I also put that they have a boon to lift or throw big objects. And I was just kind of spitballing things for our thing. And I'm just throwing. So these were my original thoughts when I pictured the badger.
They could get a boon to the predator thing.
Yeah, because they're so honey big. Badgers don't give a crap.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they use a different word, but I'm trying to be
honey badger don't care. Boost predator resistance by +1.
Is there a lot of +1s in this system?
Well, I don't want to say like your predator resistance becomes 2d6 because we talked about having a job class thing that had a
We
higher.
did.
So like if it's 3d6, what are you gonna do? Bring it down to
That's
2d6?
true. Where a flat bonus is makes sense to the situation, right?
Yeah, there might be a better way to word that, but
Well, I mean, it's having it in wording now. I mean, because
yeah,
this is realistically for all of our viewers, this is Scrat and I spitballing right now. Like
yeah, this is
this
very
all is subject to
week
change.
one.
This is our first team exercise together.
Yeah, badgers are cousins of the wolverine. If a badger grapples you, then good luck getting out of its grasp.
I love badgers. I actually really think they're cool creatures. Just so unique, little tough suckers. I love them.
Saying if you could pick the class that had the scholar we talked about having the higher predator resistance, and then a badger, and then another inclination that boosts it even more, and you're not scared of anything. You might not
But
be
I love
very
that.
strong, but you're confident.
Well, I love the idea of like that's the old badger, right? It's the old mother badger who's she's retired from being the active war life, and she's just hanging out in the abbey. But obviously, problems happen, and she's trying to help out. And she's old, she's smart, she's seen so much crap, and then she's ready to just. She's like, whatever, let's go. I think that's so cool.
Glee just sent this over. She was telling Scotty about some of her mushroom stuff. So this
Mushroom
is from
stuff.
her fungali. They got all the spores. That's right, and they could use whichever ones they wanted. They didn't have to choose which one they got, if I remember right. Vicious spores. They've basically a taunt. Rapport spores. You can pacify the target. Paralyzing. That actually saved Glee one time. She was
Did it?
down to 1 HP and a dream with. She was with another player and they got separated, and the other player died. And she used the paralyzing spore, and it just like knocked the skeleton thingy out. And yeah, it saved her butt. But which is interesting because not many of the players use the spores very often, and I feel like the few times they did, it didn't work very well. And then
It came in
hallucinogens
clutch
worked.
in that
It
moment.
did, man. What she was literally 1 HP in a dream, man. I thought she was gonna die. It failed the first time. Yes, it did. It took a couple shots. It was close. This is very close. The fungali is super cool though. I really liked them. That was a I enjoyed it from a creative standpoint, the campaign, but I'll still die on the hill that our first campaign everybody enjoyed more because it was more about their characters. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, now
People love that.
if we had combined that with the fungali, it would have been the ultimate campaign.
People love that though, man. So I run a lot of Venture Path. I am a professional dungeon master. I meant to have you put the link to my Discord in your description there if you want to join for any games with me. But one thing I like to do is during my adventure paths, I like to try to add in the character's backstory, but also like focus on something that's huge for each of the characters if they have something,
Yeah.
because not everybody has that desire, but it really it makes them feel like their
Loved.
character is not, well, yeah, you know what? That's it. It's just straight up loved.
If you give me a link to it, I'll drop it in the chat. But
Sounds good, partner.
all right, honey badger. But I was also, before we went detail or tangent on mushrooms, the badger here we were talking about, we could make one that's super resistance to the predator thing. Like they're not scared of anything. But then you could also make the badger and go down the warrior thing, and you get that predator resistance bonus. So like, oh, there are some things I'm scared of, but now I have a boost in that, and I'm the warrior, I'm strong, I'm ready to face danger. So it sounds like we're getting some customizability going here.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yep. So I like where we're going.
Well, what's cool about it too is like if you wanted to play the runt badger,
Yeah.
you're not stuck with being the big.
Right. Saying if you say, well, badgers are big, they get +1 strike. And it's like, well, now every badger has that extra health. Then like you're saying,
Yeah.
what if you're the runt? So
I like the variation. Feels different, which is
Yes,
nice.
yes. And you could just have a general inclination that's +1 HP or strike. Might be pretty strong, but um, I don't see a link yet.
I put it in the chat. My bad.
Yeah, you're supposed to DM it to me because you
Oh,
can't put it in the chat.
oh, does that not show up for everybody else?
No, it's nothing. It just doesn't go
You haven't
through.
made me a moderator yet?
No, it's Zaxania.
Look at that, Zaxania.
All right.
Zaxania, you ever heard of Redwall?
What am I calling this? Link for Jacob's.
If you wanna play with a professional dungeon master, here's Jacob's Discord,
All right.
where he posts his open games, or you can just hang
Link
out.
to Pro GM Jacob's
Perfect.
Discord if you want to sign up.
He didn't use any of my stuff. We're building, so Zaxania, we're actually building a playset. Scrat and I, this is first time really working on it together. And we are working on a playset for the EZD6 system based on Redwall. So it's one of my favorites, actually.
So what Zaxania doesn't know is that I was going to put a magic item in Nuts called Zaxania's Purse, and it has something like there's always one more coin in it or something.
She's so sweet.
It's pretty great.
She loves being supportive and hanging out.
Moles digging something. You can burrow.
I definitely think digging or burrowing or now is giving. So, and this is Jacob coming from a very heavy Pathfinder D&D background, right? Is giving a character the ability to burrow at the beginning of a game overpowering, right?
So we had a burrower in our second campaign. One of the mushrooms had a pet that could burrow, and that was a real pain in my patootie. Like it was, I hated it. It caused so many problems. But that's also 5e, which is easy to cause problems. So,
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if it's because of the background I come from, but typically you don't see burrowing or flying till quote unquote higher levels, right?
yeah. So, well, they started with it.
Ooh, blind sense. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that is a good one. I'll put that in there. But I was gonna say, EZD6 here, so run the simulation in your mind. Player burrows, they're 5 feet underground or whatever. You're going against other animals. Couldn't they just dig you up? Really?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm picturing like you're because of the setting.
And if they have a spear, they got the animal senses. They're like, oh, he's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, if you're going against a fox, they can sense you under the ground. Like,
yeah, it would be more for, oh man, like I can burrow, get under this door, assuming we're not on concrete, or like I can lay wait and ambush and stuff like that. Yeah,
but that just to me becomes fun storytelling.
Yeah, so instead of I'm going to break this entire encounter. So
yeah, I don't think burrowing breaks it. But I do like the idea of blind sense.
Yeah, would it be too much to give them both?
Well, blind sense could work against them too. Like
sensitive to sunlight or something.
Well, either sensitive to sunlight or I was thinking they can, and I don't know how to word this. This is just Jacob thinking out loud, right? They have a bane to ranged at all times, but can fight blind. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to word that and how that makes sense. But of course, there is always like tremor sense. Because if they're blind, to me that means that they're gonna not do well with especially like ranged, right? But if they have a blind,
so that reminded me of something I thought of earlier. Like if we could have the species all have a boon bane thing, and not so much you get a boon and you get a bane, but the positive negative thing. Like, yep, you're good at this, you suck at this.
Well, maybe that's something we consider.
Like, I am a fan of those. It's like, oh, I get this really cool thing. Oh, dang it, but I suck at this. So like,
I mean, to me, that's a huge story driver.
Yeah. So you could get like your blind sense. It's like, oh no, in melee range, like you don't need eyes. You see fine. You maybe even get another boon to melee, but you suck at ranged and you suck at dodging ranged. So that might be a little too detailed for this.
That's what I'm want. So I love it, and I think it's fantastic. But sticking to the EZD6, keeping it easy.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't
what
know
we
if it
got
really
going so far seems to be working.
correct.
All right. So hairs, your speedy boy.
Speedy boy. How does that work?
I don't know. I've never really used the movement rules of EZD6. It's just like, no, you can move over there. It's fine. Jump.
What are the? Ooh, jumping.
Instead of climbing.
Okay. I do like the idea of giving them a little bit of a bonus to their speed, though. Also,
Sped.
I'd have to look at. Do you know what? I don't actually know what EZD6's speed. I thought they did like a distance
Zones.
thing.
Yeah.
Zones.
Like,
That's what I thought they did.
Yeah.
But maybe a hair can cover.
They can get that movement to the next zone for free or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And then they get
rabbits actually that fast though? Compared to all these other rodents, like squirrels and I guess hedgehogs aren't very fast. Or maybe it's not their
rabbits
speed.
are capable of reaching speeds of 25 and 45 miles per hour.
That's pretty dang fast. I was going to
That's
say maybe it's
pretty-
not their speed. It's just so they jump to the next zone for free. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm starting to get vibes like a dragoon
Yeah.
coming down with the spear. You know,
Man, they're my favorite. That, and I've told this to Glee too many times, that Yoshitaka Amano piece of art of the dragoon from Final Fantasy 2/4. I love this.
That's one of my favorite arts.
My favorite piece.
Yep.
Well,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
my favorite
Yes.
Final Fantasy also, but
Yeah,
Cain
'cause
and
it's good.
Cecil, Cain and Cecil, the two main characters. It's such a fun dynamic, and yeah, that him leaning up against the thing, so cool. They have the very first convention, but not really a convention, I went to randomly several years ago. Had a figure. You can just buy it online now, but there was a figurine. It was like so tall. It was a figurine made in that art style of that picture. I was just like, oh, I want it, so I can sit on a shelf and collect dust. But
Yes.
Right. So the jumping thing could be, it's like, yes, you could jump really high vertically, or you could jump horizontally and cover a zone for free.
Sure.
So something like that.
Yeah.
Use jump as speed bonus instead. All right. So that's pretty cool.
I know we're just trying to lay down groundwork here. So.
Hairs could kite you to death. Like what else? They could.
Till somebody freaking hits them with an arrow. So, voles and shrews.
Vole is like a small mouse. What do they bring unique? Can fit into tiny spaces? Boon to squeezing under a door?
I honestly, I'm leaning towards deleting them.
Okay.
And then somebody we could always put in the final product of being like, well, you could call it a vole, or it could be a variation of the mouse, but it's the same bonus. Do you know what I mean? Let's see if we find.
I love how I googled mouse for a picture, and I got nothing but computer mice.
Did you?
Yes.
That's funny.
House mouse, maybe. There we go.
Wow, they really aren't that much different.
I know they're like the tail sizes are what's different.
Yeah, a little, and the way they carry their head, and their whiskers are shorter. But realistically, even their bodies are pretty similar. Interesting. Let's see. Shrews. Eyes and ears are tiny. Velvety soot-colored fur Insectivores, busy every day and night. Deer mice, ears large, and then oh man. The way they eat are different. That's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah. So I don't know. I got them on the board there.
Oh yeah.
Like it's pretty much the same. So
the difference would be that a vole is actually a herbivore, where a mouse is an omnivore.
Well, that makes sense for the foraging that you gave the vole then.
Yeah. So that's the only like mechanical difference I can think of.
Shrews can have or can move kilometers each night. They move twice as fast in overland travel, but have to eat like crazy. Deer mice are cute, Zaxania says, except when they're coming out of my stove.
Yeah, they're cute till they're not cute. Oh man.
So yeah, shrews.
Even with a shrew,
they're kind of the same too, aren't they?
That's what I guess. That's exactly what I'm saying.
They got a long snoot.
The biggest difference is their diets. A shrew is an insectivore. What is that?
That's a shrew.
I've never seen a shrew with that kind of nose.
Me neither. That's a different type of. There's a lot of different types of shrews.
It's like, what kind of shrew is that?
This is the shrews we get.
Yeah, that's the kind of shrews I've seen before. Yeah.
So,
very
similar.
We already have moles, which I know they're different, but I do feel like the mouse could be captured into covering any of those, right? It could be. So if a player came to me using this setting and was like, hey, I really want to be a shrew, I would just say, well,
pick mouse. Yeah.
Pick a mouse. You're a shrew and you like to eat insects is going to be the biggest difference. And so you're just a variation. And remember, this is our world. So I don't think it's going to hurt without shrews, right?
So Zaxania said maybe have a general category and give a list of different types. Ultimately, does it really matter? ? And I know what's his name mentioned earlier, like having a general type, but I'm wondering, and this might just be nitpicking, but like, and this would not flow very well or be easy to read, but you could have like the scientific name classification that mice, shrews, and vole fit under. So you have that as a species, parentheses, mice, shrews, voles, blah, 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 blah. But that's like totally unnecessary, right? Because it would change nothing, but it would just tell players that works. But like,
you ready?
If you have to tell
they're in the Eulipotifla.
You wouldn't use that, but like, and all that's doing is telling players, hey, it's okay to do what you want. So
we have a couple of questions, and I want to clarify. Raccoons and weasels are going to be in the system. They are not going to be playable by players unless the GM, but not in the core of what we're writing. And because I already have weasels written into the story a little bit, which I don't think I've shared with Scrat yet.
Yeah, no. So raccoons are way too big.
Well, raccoons are not only too big, they're terrifying. Like, realistically, if you're going to play...
So I still don't know how we're going to have a mouse and an otter and a badger all in the same...
Why not?
There's, like, here's a mouse.
Like, Glee, don't ruin my fantasy!
So, I don't know, like... Are we going to, like, reduce badger size and otter a little bit and increase mice? Or are we actually going to have... Oh, maybe that's one of the mice spoons.
I mean, I don't think size needs to be a stressor, right? Raccoons are jerks, though. Listen, as somebody who's owned chickens, I have a slight dislike for raccoons. They're cute. I'll give you that. But they are mischievous, they are naughty, and they are murderers. And they enjoy killing.
No, that's cats. Cats enjoy the murder.
No larger than a microwave. Microwaves come in such huge. I've seen industrial microwaves that fit a human in it. Like most animals, Jacob. Yes, but raccoons have killed many of my chickens, so I have a personal hatred. No,
All
trash
right.
pandas are cool, but I don't want them to be a playable race. Now, if somebody wants to add them in later on, I don't care.
I was
But
like, you could
from
probably just slap that into the badger
the
category.
core setting, I don't.
I guess you could have a note in there if you want. It's like, hey, if somebody wants to play a different thing, feel free. They should slot. Like, if somebody wants to play a raccoon, just pick the badger species.
Yeah. But I was definitely in this setting was going to have badger or raccoons be mischievous creatures that cause issues. They're not necessarily evil. Like I have, and you and I haven't talked about this. I have some species that are evil, right? And like the red wall setting, I don't think there was any good rats in any of the books I ever read. You can't punt the animal over a fence is too big. But raccoons, I was actually leaning towards neutral, so you could find them. If you were to run into one in the wild, depending on how hungry the dang thing was, you could potentially role play with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Unrelated.
So back to
did I show you my shirt I got? The squirrel.
the one you're wearing.
Yeah, I feel like we were on another stream and I showed it to you.
It wasn't a stream, but it was the other night when we were chatting.
Okay, I like it.
I love
you. You need to get
so
you one for Jen.
Let's delete voles and shrews.
Okay.
For now. What are you doing, buddy?
I'm fixing it. I fixed it. Raccoons are like Loki. All right, that works. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is an odd number for a game called EZD6, but it's whatever.
Are you okay with the odd number?
I mean, 7 does religiously mean complete. I love the number 7, but we can't add more.
So the list you have here is my list. And it's funny you guys bring up size categories, and I'm trying to go back to like when I'm reading Redwall, and obviously in real life I picture them much bigger, but when I picture the Lord Brocktree, the book, I read that, and they got the mice battling on the walls. Like obviously I pictured the badgers bigger, but like if you think about the size of a badger and the size of a mouse, they are quite a difference. Obviously we're in a fantasy setting, so I think we need to grow the mouse a little bit and shrink the badger a little bit. Not that they're the same size by any means. Mm-hmm. But I think there needs to be some mental gymnastics there, right?
Yeah.
Being the world that we're in. Now, something we could do, Scrat, is do I don't have my Savage Worlds book handy, but sometimes they'll do a little drawing, and this is like an art that would be kind of cool. And you could have these 7 ancestries on a chart that just kind of shows a representation of their sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of, and just to have it for people to have it in their minds of like, okay, so the mouse is small and the badgers are big, but it's not like a broken.
Yeah, you're just reducing the differences between them.
Correct.
Still having it, but
yeah,
just reducing the scale. For
now,
perspective, both the badger and mouse can open and fit through the same door. Yeah.
Yes. I picture. I mean, for perspective, my 3-year-old, well, he just turned 4, and I can fit through the same door.
But can you punt him over the fence?
I can punt him over the fence.
Have you tried?
No. Should I try?
You might need to for science.
For science.
Come here, kid.
I'm going to walk in the house in a minute and just be like, come here, boy, for science. I need to kick you.
It'll be like, be like that caveman game of nuts. For science.
Yes. That was a good time. Man, I feel like we cranked out a lot of here. I mean, how are you feeling?
Nah, this is good. I'm just wondering if we want some more.
Well,
I don't know.
You could always start a YouTube poll.
I don't know how to do that. But then we also have to give them 4 choices or something.
Oh, you do? You can't? Oh, okay.
I can't just say like, well, yeah, you just say, hey, chat, what do we want to add? And then everybody puts in their own thing. And
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have an answer because this covers a lot of different play
It does,
and
and
play
it's
styles.
a solid starting point.
Now, it doesn't mean that later on we don't make a supplement to add onto this, or we come up with other thoughts. I'm sure Glee and Michelle will have things they want to add,
Yep.
thoughts they want to add.
So let's just to humor me here. Let me pick purple. Some purple.
I like purple.
Uh,
I know Twice That Mage. I love beavers, and it was one that I considered too.
Those are the big boys too. All right, so let's
That
make another character. Now that we have some species.
Okay.
Ooh, a skunk.
I know.
What do you want to
was
make?
one.
We made a squirrel knight. What's something else you could play?
Well, let's do a mole priest.
Ooh. All right. So
He's the friar of the abbey.
That's his job. Do it. And we said we're doing edges. We got that in green. So,
We do have that in green.
We don't have to list out a bunch. What might be an edge a priest gets? Some kind of Healy magic?
Yeah, some kind of healing magic, or I was picturing like a historian edge.
Well, we don't
where,
have magic in this world, right?
Correct. So if you did
medicinal.
historian, it would be herbal, yeah, or medicinal.
Herbal healing. All right.
Herbalist.
We'll just put that there. And then
So Twice Dead Mage and Zaxania, both of you have great suggestions. Beaver, Fisher Cat, Skunk, Wildcat, Lost Stray Cat. All of them also make really amazing NPCs. So I'm trying to figure out like what's going to be common. Like and then maybe that's something we need to think about with our species. The ones that we have listed are the common species that you see around the world, right? Where cats, you're not going to see a ton of cats in this world. And when you do, you're probably going to not do well.
so are our jobs going to have inclinations too? Perks or whatever? Or were we going to leave it all up to the inclination pool? We got edges. But like, like the warrior comes with he can do two-handed, blah, 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 blah. Were we going to leave that all up to the edge?
I was going to leave that up to the edge. So like the base.
So we really get some more flexibility then. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that'll just provide their strikes, armor, and
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly.
That's good. All right. So the inclinations we might pick for a priest are the medicine kit, the thing I can't spell or pronounce from base EZD6, boon to melee or something. I don't know. Just picking random things.
He's good at bopping children on the head with his staff. Excuse me, guys.
Boom to force. We're just picking random things here.
Right? Yeah.
So, all right, and then the next step was species. Was a mole, which gives him burrow or blind sense. We haven't figured that out. All right, so that's pretty cool because then you can. I don't have it on here, but man, job priest. So we could say that's 3 strikes, 5+ armor. That might be a 2d6. Predator.
I think it's a 2d6
because like they have the faith or whatever. So
now I know originally the hero paths, which is the job, right? That's what we're replacing hero path with, is the job, correct?
Yeah.
They all have a boon, but that's going to be coming through the edge, right? Of the
well, that's what I was asking earlier. So like when you pick the warrior, it's like, oh, he's good with the melee weapons, and then you have all these other things. So we're gonna basically like top level job, and then you pick the specializations, which determines what you get.
Yeah.
That way it's less page space, right? Or it's just easier instead of like we said, instead of having a barbarian, a brute, a knight, and all these different pages that have mostly the same stats but just different inclinations. So,
and you're picturing each job to have a predator check.
Well,
So technically,
that's your magic resistance, which every
correct.
class normally got.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
but we also need something for miraculous save. That could still just be miraculous save. It doesn't have to be reflavored.
Do we want to? No, we don't want to combine them because that would be too messy, right? Predator save.
Well, I mean, it still could be a miraculous. I mean,
Oh, I see.
even
Okay.
the wording can just be the same. It's still going to function the same. Like
Yeah.
Wasted World, I think it was avoidance, and then I forgot what it was, and the one
Because the
played.
miasma's the magic, and then they have the avoidance.
Yeah.
So they have like I'm looking at the android. Strikes 3, armor 5+, typically junk. Avoidance 6, miasma resist 1d6.
And it's usually 6 because it's like this is a really bad thing happening. You have to roll that crit. Like I think the rogue gets a better miraculous one, and the friar may also get a better one.
So we'll have to find out a different. I mean, we could be miraculous save still.
Yeah, because it's like, Snake goes in, gets the drop on you, and he's just trying to swallow you whole or something. It's like miraculous. Like if you're a tiny mouse or something.
It's also, and that's also one that fits under like, oh, you disturbed the big beast that was sleeping, and now all of a sudden the rocks are falling and the cliff next to you.
Yep.
Try not to die.
Yep. So
Cool.
that will also be part of the job.
That's the base job.
Yeah.
And then the edge comes from your.
The edge is basically your toolkit.
Correct. Yeah. I love it.
That has nothing to do with your species. So.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Cool.
So that works.
Well, no, that's beautiful. I even like building another character has that cool feeling too. Like it feels like it's coming together. Looking at, even though I know we're still missing how many inclinations and stuff like that, but I'm starting to feel it, man. We just now got to sit down, and probably not today, but sit down and are we doing 3 per job?
The inclinations or
the edges?
I don't see why that has to be the same across all the jobs. Matter of fact, I don't even think they are in Wasted World. I could be wrong.
I'm absolutely fine with it not being the same.
Yeah. Scavvy gets 2. Rambler gets 2. Maybe they all get 2. That one gets 2. That one has 2 to choose from.
2.
Okay.
2.
So yeah.
Well, let's play around. I mean, we don't have to be the same either, right?
Yeah.
And there could be more options that make sense, or maybe there's something that we're like, hey, I don't want this to not be in the system. I don't care if it adds 1 more to the priest.
I say 2 should be like your target
base. I guess maybe that's what I was asking. Let's put a base number of
at least 2. That way you have an option. So
you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah. Good. So, and then if like the warrior, like, oh, you can be paladin, knight, or barbarian. There's 3. So
cool. Look at that.
So all right. Well, we need creating a character. Actually, let's do this before I forget. Well, let me take this one. I know you just moved it. I'm actually gonna.
No, you're good. I was kind of playing with it.
Character. No, that's not how you spell that at all. Character creation flow. So it's pick a job, right?
Yep.
And that gives you armor. Save.
And I have a question. It's not a big deal. Are you just following the flow that EZD6, the how to build the rabble rouser, or do we want to change it up?
I'm just making sure we have everything here. Let's see.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So pick a job. That gives you picking a job gives you your armor, your predator, and your miraculous save stat and HP, right?
Strikes.
Yeah, that's true. HP strikes, right? That's what you get from that. And
Yep.
then you pick an edge, which we may call something different. Specialization. Pick an edge. Choose inclinations. How many? And then choose species. So that's everything, right? You got your
Hmm.
job, warrior, edge. All right. So that is the flow. That's how we do it.
And so our focus on character creation is most definitely more on the job and inclinations. Species just have a little bit of a bonus. More RP based, right? Is what I'm seeing.
I feel like the species bonus is kind of to make you feel like you're actually playing that
A squirrel. Yeah,
creature. Yeah. So
perfect.
that's a fun little, pull from the real world into your fantasy game. So kind of ground you. It's like, well, I'm a hedgehog. I have spikes. Like I expect to be able to do something with that. So
Absolutely. Cool.
Glee says back had to stop her devs from putting bright orange text on white background. Horse avoided.
That sounds like fun.
Can I do that? Let's see how
No,
it
don't do it.
looks.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it. Bright orange. Is this bright orange? Or is that just peach?
You know what's funny is I'm using the black background. I have it on the night
You
mode.
got, yeah.
So it just doesn't even mean or do anything. Awesome.
Oh, I had a text box with white text and I lost it. Like this, Glee? Is that what it looked like?
Oh, I love it. Cool.
I heard a shriek down the hallway.
Did you?
Yeah. All right. So that's good. That's good.
I think this is a good spot to stop because part of me has to use the bathroom really bad too.
Yeah. Well, and we've been going for 2 hours, so that's a good. We're gonna start fizzling out anyway, so we can set on this. And I guess so. Let's be super corporate-y here and
Okay.
say, what are our goals? I love how I wrote that. Goals. What are we trying to figure out?
I think
Make some inclinations.
the next thing we bring to the table is inclinations or the edges or whatever the secondary job
Make some
additive is.
jobs, and then
Maybe
make some inclinations.
and I actually think the jobs are going to be more important before we do inclinations because if we do the jobs, then we won't have to worry about double dipping when we go to make the job. Does that make sense?
Yep. So we'll throw in some jobs, try and hammer out some names to fit the setting.
Yeah.
And with those come edges, and then we'll work on inclinations. Yep.
Yeah, because then once you have all that filled out, then we'll hit the inclinations, and then that'll round it out mechanically overall. I mean, that's still a good solid work chunk. But
I feel like I should
awesome.
maybe start a thread or something in the or a post in the Acorn sharing, whatever you call them, threads, posts.
That's true. Get other people's thoughts.
Yeah, it's like give us some inclinations,
Yeah,
or
I mean,
job suggestions, stuff like that.
it's not a bad idea.
Moss
Awesome.
and Stone.
Yeah,
For
I
the
love it.
Moss and Stone.
That's true.
Is that like
We're
a
gonna.
holy land? The Moss and Stone?
Oh, that's what they're all seeking. The land of moss and stone.
For the Moss and Stone. And it doesn't actually exist.
No, but it gives hope to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to call. That's not canon. Anybody that's watching or ends up watching this, this is just us thinking.
Man,
Knowing us, though.
speaking of all these rodents, I don't know if you saw the chat in Planar Crossroads, but we're recording this weekend for the High Noon June, and we're
Yes.
going to be mixing Mouse Ritter. I had the
Yes.
idea. I was like, let's do Mouse Ritter setting rules type of stuff, or mechanic kind of concept. Survival is super important. but let's put the mice and tails from elsewhere in Peter's world. And I started brainstorming. I was like, oh, you can have this horrifying blood oiler thing going on in the background that has nothing to do with the mice, because the blood oilers don't care about rodents. They're after humans. So like they could just be that background thing that is only horrifying if you read into. But the oil in the blood oiler is actually a problem. Like it's almost alive. So when blood oilers get killed or start manufacturing, it seeps into the ground and then the mice have to worry about it. It's gonna be cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So I like the idea of, and this will be my plot hook or whatever we talk about. They find the boot of a blood oiler in the middle of nowhere, and it's got all the oil in it, and that's kind of like the source where they start. It's gonna be a mixture of that and then the campaign I was supposed to run in Nuts, the Western one that took your one-shot setting you did for us with the infected rats and stuff.
Yep.
It's going to be the oil that basically does that to them. Yeah, buddy.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
It's not
that's
their problem until it is.
That's total tangent.
I mean, I love what you guys do. You guys' chats are great.
Dude, the planar crossroads things we do, they're great exercises. Just they really stretch those creative muscles and get some fun stuff out of them.
Gotta get them stretched out.
So, but anyway, we got moss and stone. I'm happy with what we got. We got things to cover, and like I said, I'm going to be getting a book back in a couple days, and that's just going to slam me, and I'm going to hide in a hole for a few days. But
yeah,
the problem is, see, it's coming back right when I don't have a script ready to go for the next video, and I'm doing a TTRPG review of Blaze's game for my next video, which is always more work whenever I do a review video. So
oh no,
everything's stacking up against me.
So we'll take it one step at a time. This is just a project where we'll get to it when we get to it, I guess.
Yeah, buddy. And there's Golden Phoenix Studio. Did you change your name? I recognize that avatar. If you're the one I'm thinking of, you got a game that I want me and Jacob to play. The One-Shotters. It's a nice little simple D6 game. Had a look
Is
at
it?
Yeah, seemed fun. I had a few questions, but we'll hammer it out and we'll try it.
Yeah,
buddy.
buddy.
And there's Whispering Wisp. Everybody's showing up right as we're leaving. I love
we're about to exit.
I love it. Well, you got a whole VOD to watch now. So, Jacob, you got anything before we head out? We got.
I'm a professional. Oh, about this?
Well, if you got anything you want to sell too, I guess.
Oh, I'm not selling. It's how I support my family. No, I love what we're doing here. I'm pretty excited. I do feel like we got a little bit more of a goal here. Without us fleshing out the setting yet, but you know what I mean. I feel like we're on a good pathway to something kind of fun. So,
yes, and not to override your sales pitch, but he is a professional GM, and if you want to go schedule a game with him, I did drop a link in the chat. You only have to scroll up a little bit to find it, or maybe a lot bit, but it's the only message for me in there. So you can join his Discord. Do you allow people to set in on a game and see how it is, or?
I absolutely have and do, and am willing to do that. So, and that's a great way to experience my GMing at a table. If you're hesitant or looking for a game to join, it's a fantastic way to see how things operate.
There you go. So you can see what it's all about before you even throw them $1. So
that's right.
Go check that out. You know where I'm at. I'm in the Discord. I'll take a look at that one in mine and in YouTube. And you just got a video today, and then you will get one in 2 weeks about World Shapers from Blaze Reason, who was in the chat when we started. But other than that, yeah, we're done. We're going to make things. So see y'all later. Wave goodbye, Jacob. Wow.
Tell me what to do.